Good morning. I find it slightly, is apropos the right word? I don't know. What I'm going to preach about, it's been a little chaotic in life lately. This is actually a twofer sermon. Do you guys know what a twofer is? Two for the price of one, you know? I actually did this for women's retreat, Sabbath school, and now you get to hear it. And my usual disclaimer when I get up to speak is that I speak about what I'm learning or what I'm studying or what I know about. And then I pray and hope that it actually reaches some of you the same way that it reaches me. So I talk about what I know about and hope that it reaches some of you too. But this is called Peace Be Still. And it is apropos because I got a call last night that I have to leave as soon as I get done here. I have to go to work. And I'm already working tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day because I work in healthcare. And even though I don't work in the hospital, I work in a clinic and we are extremely short-staffed. And one of my coworkers now has COVID, and so we're even more short-staffed. So if you would just keep healthcare in your prayers, it is a struggle. Where I work, there are tears every single day because it is such a struggle right now. We're working lots and lots and lots of hours. So while I'm talking about peace be still, know that there are things that, we can't control that come into our lives that we deal with. I don't think any of us need to look specifically at statistics to realize that chaos is a normal part of our lives right now. I don't think, I thought about looking up, I can give you all of the graphs and the numbers and everything about how stressed we are as a country. And then I'm like, okay, that's stupid because we all know that. The other day I was watching, I don't watch the news real often, but I was watching the news and it happened to pop up a thing that Sesame Street is now teaming with a meditation app so that your stressed out kids can pop up a meditation app through Sesame Street on your phone. So even our kids are super stressed out, apparently. I thought that was a little ironic. Sesame Street and the stressed out kids, but we don't have to look at statistics to know what our lives are like. And I used to think, when my kids were younger, I used to think, it's just this stage of life I'm in, or people would tell me it's just this stage. Only I've gone through several stages and I am equally as stressed out, have equally as little peace as I did before or less. And it just seems to continue to get worse and worse. And the last probably year has kind of been a learning curve for me of trying to figure out how to find more peace in my life. Because I really don't believe that God intended for me or you to live at this pace that we currently live at. I don't think that God had that in mind when he created us and put us on this earth to live like hamsters in a cage. We're not going to play it, but what I played at the beginning of women's retreat when I was doing it was this 5-minute clip intro was hamsters on a wheel. And have you guys seen those, the hysterical ones where the hamsters like fling off the sides, or one of them is spinning the other one and he flings off and then he's hanging by his armpits? Those are very apropos of what I'm talking about today. There is a lady who wrote, she's actually a Silicon Valley psychologist. She published an article in the New York Times in August entitled Society's Self-Destructive Addiction to Faster Living. She says, this is progress in America. You always move forward. There are no limits to how far you can go or how fast you can get there. Don't pause. Don't reflect. You'll fall behind and fail if you stop moving. Fast at any cost is the mantra of a stressed and distressed America society today. How many of you think that's about apropos, appropriate for what we're living in? I've used that word about 12 times. I suppose I need to move on to something else. If you stop moving, you will fall behind and fail. We are living in a time when multitasking is the norm. I feel like if I'm doing one thing at a time, I am falling behind. I don't know how you feel. If I'm only doing one thing, there is something wrong. I'm tired of living at this pace. I hope you're tired of living at this pace. I don't think that my life is getting any less busy, so it's time for me to make some choices to make it less busy. Jackson hates it when I talk about him in church, but the other day, it's been a couple weeks ago now, he yelled at me, "Mom, you don't even complete your sentences when you're talking to me." And I looked at him and I got kind of mad. Yes, I do complete my sentences. And then I started thinking about it, and I don't. I'll start a sentence and get halfway through and then talk to somebody else and do something else. And he's standing there waiting for me to finish my thought. I'm not even finishing my thoughts when I'm speaking to my children or my husband. True? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. So I'm really hoping that some of you are going to find some of the same things in your life. I'm not going to have you pull out a piece of paper and write things down, but I want you to think really quickly through things that cause you stress or take peace out of your life. So for example, if I were to have you write these things down, some of the things I might write down is, to me, driving is stressful, or spending lots of time in the car. Well, we chose to move somewhere a little bit further away. So I spend a half an hour driving my kids to school. That is a choice we made. And I think it's important. However, it is still a stressful thing. Does that make sense? Some things are stress we place on ourselves. Some things are stresses that we choose and we continue to live with because the result or what we're going for is more important. So if I had you look at these things, there are some things you can change, some things you cannot change. The things you cannot change, I want to assure you to start with that God can change for you. Remember that when Jesus was in the boat with the disciples, he calmed the storm. And I'm pretty sure if he can calm a giant storm, that he can calm a little bit of stress in my life. He can calm what's going on. My personality is naturally a busy one. I am a busy person. I say yes to lots of things, and that sometimes is a downfall. I learned something in the last year. I learned that just because I might have the skill to do a job, and I might even be able to do it well, does not mean I need to say yes to it, because I stress myself out. I steal the peace and the joy from my life. Just because I have the skill and I might even be able to do it well doesn't mean I need to say yes to it. Remember, we're going back to what God had in mind for us, the kind of life that he had in mind. He gave us skills to be able to do things and say yes and participate, not to overwhelm us and do all of the things at once. So we're going to talk a little bit about getting off the crazy train or the hamster wheel. And I believe that the Bible is our inspired word of God. We can go to it for everything. And I think that it has a lot to say about getting off of this crazy train and living that peaceful life. I strongly believe, once again, that this is not the kind of life that God intended for us to live. Society today is not the way God intended for us to live. So as we look on this journey for a more peaceful life, we're going to look at some of the things that the Bible has to say. And this was our verse for today. Aspire to live a quiet life. Mind your own business and work with your hands. I really like this translation because it adds in that mind your own business. Aspiring to live a quiet life, mind your own business, and physically work with your hands. I think that there is a lot to be said for those three things in adding peace to your life. This is another one from 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. It says, pray for kings or your leaders. That would be leaders in our church, leaders in our government, leaders in our country, everywhere. Pray for kings and all who are in authority, that we may live a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and reverence. Pray that we can live that kind of life, a quiet life. 1 Peter 3, verses 3 and 4. Don't let your adornment be just on the outward, but rather let it be hidden in your heart with the incorruptible beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very precious in the sight of God. What's very precious in the sight of God? A gentle, a quiet spirit. I do not feel like my spirit is gentle and quiet. Anybody else? I am loud. I am loud. There's not a lot of gentle and quiet anything about me. Ask my children. Stop that. Jackson's giving me thumbs up. I am not a gentle and quiet person, but that's what this is saying, is that is precious in the eyes of the Lord. That's something I need to strive for. So we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at two different sides of this crazy life, and then how to make it a little bit more peace-filled. We're going to look at the physical side, and we're going to look at the mental side. Now, both of these encompass more things, but that's what we're going to aim for, is we're going to aim for looking at the physical side of our lives and how we can make that more peace-filled, and at the mental side and how to make that more peace-filled. Now, if I ask all of you, start yelling some things out, what does stress physically do to our bodies? What would you say? Wake up. My shoulders get all tight. Your blood pressure goes up. What else? A lot. Eat a lot. What else? Weight changes. Some people, you lucky ones, lose weight. Then there's the rest of us. What else? What happens to you when you get stressed? Don't sleep or sleep too much. Angry. Angry. That's right. What else? What about our instances of sickness, our instances of cancer in our bodies? We talked about our blood pressure, so that causes our heart disease. What about our eating goes on to cause maybe diabetes? So we have this huge list, ongoing forever list of what stress physically does to our bodies. So living a crazy life doesn't just affect your mind, but it physically affects your body. So let's look at some ways we can physically calm down and add some peace to our lives. So specifically, when I was speaking to the women at Women's Retreat, I told this story. How many of you know about Joe Wheeler's Christmas in My Heart books? There's, I don't know, 20 some of them now. My mother has every one of them. I remember I was probably early 12, early teens, reading a story in there. And it was about a family, a mom who had quite a few kids. I don't remember a number, but every year, sometimes more than once a year, this mom would go on a vacation, either alone or with her girlfriends. She had a giant teddy bear that she would take out, and her family would take her to either the train station, or maybe she would drive off, or they would take her to the airport. And when they would come home, she would have the teddy bear somewhere, and it would be dressed according to the kind of vacation she was going on. So if she was going to the beach, maybe they would find the teddy bear in a bikini and a straw hat and sunglasses. So every time she would go somewhere, the kids would run home afterwards and go look to what the teddy bear was dressed in to see where she was going. And she would stay for about a week. And when she came back, everyone was thrilled to see mom. Dad had taken care of everything. Everyone was alive. There was no problems. He was doing fine, but everyone was happy to see mom come back. And you know what? Mom was nicer. Mom was a nicer wife. Mom was a nicer mom. All the way around, it made things better. Now, all of us are not wealthy enough in time or resources to be able to do this. I did find, and I try to do it once a year. It doesn't happen every year, but I try to do things like this. I remember this, and I remember how important this is. When I was pregnant with Audrey, I knew that having a new baby, I wasn't going to have much quiet time. So I was, 8 months pregnant with her. I took an extra long weekend, and I drove to Branson, stayed all by myself. Slept as long as I wanted, read whatever I wanted, sat by the pool with my giant belly. No one took my food. I could eat wherever I wanted. I didn't talk to anyone the entire weekend. But I came back much more at peace, both physically and mentally. Doesn't mean you necessarily have the option to go somewhere physically alone. But what about your favorite spot in the city park? What about your lunch break? You take your lunch break and you find a little spot in the city park where there's no one else, and you sit alone in God's nature. What about you have an extra closet that's just sitting full of junk? Ream that sucker out. Make it your own little closet of peace, whether you hang things on the wall and put your favorite armchair in there, if you're lucky to have a big closet. Put some pillows in, make it a peaceful spot. We all have options. They're just different. But finding a spot that brings us peace is important. We tend to put that at the bottom of our totem pole. But I think that that's a really important thing for not only our mental health, but our physical health, to find a physical place that brings us peace. We're going to look a little bit now into the mental side of things. I'm trying to pay attention, but it's a little hard because my notes are scribbled out because I didn't redo them. Apologize for that. Didn't have time. We're going to look at the mental side of things now. And our mental health, if you have not noticed, you must have your head stuck in a hole, but our mental health as a country is failing rapidly. A pandemic shoved us even further into the dark hole we were already going into. So our mental health is a big problem right now. We're not going to go into a lot of great, huge detail about it, but I want to talk a little bit about what we can do for our mental health. Now, sometimes it is a matter of self-control. Everybody get out your phone or hold your phone up in the air. Hold up, way up high. Yeah. Those right there are an absolutely fabulous invention. You can put them down. But I have found that my self-control fails when I hold that thing. Fails. I can sit there, and my husband called me out the other night, which of course made me very unhappy. You're spending an awful lot of time on your phone. Well, what do you want to do when somebody tells you that? Donk. He's not wrong. He's not wrong, unfortunately. Sometimes I think that our self-control can play a much more important role in our peace of mind than we would like. Sometimes it is a matter of, I am going to physically choose to set my phone down in another room and not pay attention to it. Because really what my phone does for me, while I think it's helping me be more at peace and relax, sometimes it's just winding me up more. Does anybody else feel that way? I read through all this stuff, or all these things pop up, or all these people post these things, and my blood pressure goes up. It's okay to take that thing and set it down in some other room or turn it off for a couple hours. So sometimes our mental health can be helped by increasing our self-control on the things that can harm us. The other day, before women's retreat, I went and I get my twice a year manicure and pedicure. And I'm sitting there on my phone while this sweet little Asian lady is massaging my legs. And I'm like, I'm not paying a lick of attention to what she's doing. I'm not enjoying what's supposed to be causing me relief and, giving me peace and feeding my physical body. I'm not doing it at all. I finally realized I needed to set my phone down and actually appreciate the fact that this lady is massaging my very nasty feet and legs. Simple things, you guys. That is simple. It's really simple. But how often do we forget about those things, to sit and actually pay attention to the tiny moments in life that bring us peace and joy? We're so busy trying to multitask that we tend to forget the little moments of life. When Audrey's playing hopscotch on the driveway, do I want to watch her? No, I'm busy. I'm sorry. I want to go do something else, but she wants me to watch her. Those tiny moments that bring you peace and joy that are simple. Oftentimes, you guys, simple is the most peaceful thing. We've gotten so complex. We've gotten so complicated and so complex and so multitasking that we miss so many of the little things. And honestly, I think that brings sadness to God's heart, because how many times is he putting little, I don't know, I call them God moments, or little flashes of himself all around us, and we completely miss them. I mean, we've all seen the videos of people holding our phones, going along, and the one guy fell in the fountain and the other person walked in. You guys have seen those, right? And we all laugh hysterically because it's funny, but it's true. And what are they missing by their busyness? God has so many things in our lives that might just bring us little moments of joy. I'm standing here looking at these mums. Mums maybe are some of our not favorite flowers, but if you look at that tiny little mum right there, look at the bud and then look at what actually came out of that bud. It's the tiniest little moment that God made. God made that, but it brings about a certain peace in your life when you're noticing things that God made. Simple things can bring mental peace to yourself. How many of you have seen or been a part of something like this? Do we do this anymore? One of the things I really wanted when we looked for a house was a front porch. I kind of have a front porch, but now I have a side porch. I wanted to be able to sit on my porch and invite people over to just sit and talk. Do you see any of them have a phone? Nobody's got a book. Nobody's got a phone. They're just sitting and talking. One's hanging out the window. I think that we have diminished the joy and peace that fellowship can bring. God invented us, created us to need the fellowship of other people. Do you understand? But yet we've minimized it and we've become so busy. I have to make excuses to get together with my friends. Jessica and I, driving down to women's retreat, have to multitask. Sorry, Jack. We were going to multitask and do stuff for Pathfinders while we're driving down to women's retreat, because we can't just sit and enjoy our time and talk. We have minimized our fellowship time so much because we're so busy. So one of the things that there's a group of us that are trying to get going again, and you'll hear more about it as it comes around. I just invited people over to my house. Now, my house is not finished, you guys. We just moved into a new house. It's not done. It was a disaster. We don't have countertops. There's stuff everywhere. The floor was not done. But you know what? I wanted people over at my house. So I said, come over. We're going to bring whatever you want to eat. It doesn't matter. We don't even have a theme for a potluck. On Saturday night, we started just getting together. We sit around and talk. That's all you do. You sit around and talk and eat. And was it enjoyable? I decided to set down the fact that my house is a disaster and someone's going to walk through it and see my extremely dirty bathroom that is not done, that has carpet on the floor. Who does that? And not care. because it was more important to have the friendly fellowship. Take the time to spend time with the people that you love, that bring you peace. Take time to laugh. We've forgotten what it means to laugh and have fun. Do you know how good you feel after you have a good belly laugh? How often do we do that? We're supposed to do it like a certain amount of minutes every day. Yikes, failing on that one. Not doing so good. Why do we struggle to just sit and fellowship and just spend time together? Those are things that bring peace to our lives and to our hearts. Stop caring about what your house looks like. Stop caring about whether you can cook the right food. Go buy it at the store. I don't care. I don't care what food you bring or don't bring to my house. Who cares? Come and spend time, because fellowship is so important. When was the last time you actually scheduled time to do something you love? A guilty pleasure, if you will. I love to read. But rarely do I actually take the time to sit down and read a book. Not my Sabbath school book, not something for my continuing education, which is due and I'm not done with it, but to actually plan a time when you're doing something that ministers to your soul because it's your guilty pleasure. When was the last time you did that? And why has it been so long? Why can we not take care of ourselves to bring peace to our lives? We went and picked apples yesterday. Did I really want to? I love picking apples. But I was exhausted, I was tired, and I really didn't want to go. But it was important, and we really enjoyed it, and it made us stop and think about just the simple joy of doing simple things. The simple joy of the changing of seasons. When was the last time you stopped to pay attention? I don't. I forget. And I think that it's robbing me of the peace that God intended for my life to have. Now, we've talked about a lot of different things. I want you to take some of these things home, even though you haven't written them down. I want you to take some of these things home, and I want you to put them into practice in your life, because we all need a little more peace, especially right now. You guys, our lives, if you haven't noticed, are not going to get any easier. It's not going to get any slower, and it's not going to get any more peace-filled unless we choose to make it that way. We were talking in my Sabbath school class this morning how, about all the signs of the times, basically, the pandemic and the government and the healthcare problems and all these different things. And if we believe what the Bible says, it's very clear that things will not get better. I know that's depressing, and sometimes that's a depressing thought for me, but don't forget, you know how it ends. You don't need to be depressed when you know how it ends. So enjoy the moments, find more peace for your life, and just look forward to the wonderful ending that God has in mind for us. So come along with me on my journey to try to get off of this stupid, crazy train that we call life. I don't wanna be afraid every time I face the waves. I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna be afraid. And I don't wanna be afraid every time I hear the storm. I don't wanna be afraid. No, I don't wanna be afraid. Peace, be still, say the word, and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. I'm not gonna be afraid, 'cause these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. No, I'm not gonna be afraid. And I'm not gonna fear the storm, 'cause you are greater than its roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. No, I'm not gonna fear it all. Peace, be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over me. Yeah, you speak peace over me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Peace, be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over me. Yeah, I hear you speaking. Peace over me. Yeah, speak your peace over me. Speak your peace to me. Father in heaven, I know that you did not intend for our life to be this crazy train that we live on. You did not intend for our souls to feel such chaos, and you did not intend for our lives to be utterly without peace. And so I ask that you bring that peace back in and you give us the self-control to set down what we need to set down and to look for the little things that you set in front of us to bring us joy. And that you will always continually remind us that we know how the story ends and that there is no need to fear and no need to be filled with chaos because we know what happens. We know who wins and we know who's coming back to get us so that we can continually be at peace. Please bless us on this Sabbath day especially. Amen.